I'd like to call the regular meeting of June 3rd, 2019 to order. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Garner. O'Brien.
Present.
Balmas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
5 present.
All right, and Trustee Garner let us know he wouldn't be here tonight. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just one correction on that. That should be the third. I messed that up for some reason.
welcome. And what a nice sight. Empty chambers, except for you. Thank you. No, I'm glad you're here. The rest of you know what I mean. All right, so we are, first order of business is approval of the consent agenda as presented. Motion by Trustee Balmas,
Second.
second by Trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Sure, and just one note before I do, underneath bills, that should be for period ending June 3rd, 2019. So for some reason, I had the 5th in my mind when I put this together, and it should have been the 3rd, so. Item number 1, approval of minutes from the May 20th, 2019 meeting. Item number 2, approval of request from Public Works Department to purchase 10 fire hydrant assemblies from the low bidder, Zybel Water Service Products, at a cost of $33,059. Item number 3, approval of fireworks permit for Six Flags Great America, shoot dates of July 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All displays to be launched from the southwest corner of the property. Item number 4, approval of payroll for period ending May 24th, 2019 in the amount of $865,881.88. Item number 5, approval of bills for period ending June 3rd, 2019 in the amount of $176,821.03.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Motion by Trustee Ross,
Second.
second by Trustee Trustee O'Brien. I'm sorry. I'll get used to it yet. Trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. One thing. Jack, can you do an extra round of notifications on the fireworks on next door and all that so that dogs and children are fully made aware?
Yeah, this should be a little easier because they're not doing them like they did last year at the Mardi
Yeah.
Gras hangover. It's just over the 4th of July.
Yeah,
so.
but still,
Yep.
I know people complained about getting children to sleep, so. All right, so we have nothing under petitions and communications. We're going to move on to reports. And Trustee Thorstensen is going to just give us a very brief update on her activity to date on the 211 project.
Thank you. So I'll be reading it, and hopefully my eyes can get me from here to there. We've been meeting quite a bit on the 211 with several committees, so I just thought I would give this introduction or a brief summary to everybody on what's going on with the 211 rollout. So Lake County will soon have, as I say, a 211 free and confidential hotline. It's easily accessed as well as 24/7. United Way Lake County is the group that's managing this program, and they manage the majority of these types of services throughout the U.S., but not all of them. There is a soft launch targeted for the end of this month of June, kind of right towards the end, and that will be with their key contributors. They have partners such as Catholic Charities, ones that they do services with regularly, and then a full rollout in September. So 211, just to give a little background, the coverage in the U.S. is over 94% for communities. Illinois has less than 30% coverage, and Lake County has 0%. One item to note where that 30% came from is McHenry County has it. So it's close to us, but not close enough. So the third item is that the program consists of a task force as well as several work groups, over 35 individuals, various organizations, and I've been participating in the task force as well as 2 of the work groups, the one that's regarding disaster information and the other being sustainability. The program team work groups have been very busy finding solutions for the services that would be needed to ensure that we could address the most common requests at launch. And those top requests throughout the U.S. are shelter, followed by food, and then a mixture between percentages of healthcare, mental health, and utilities. I just did, there's some really good data available to us, but being that all of the services are managed differently, it's hard to consider them apples to apples, but we did spend a lot of time looking at kind of Midwest cold weather climates, thinking that we'd have some of the same concerns. Lastly, the 211 program is contracted with a group called ICFS, that's Interface Children and Family Services. They're going to be our 211 contact center, and individuals that call this service are connected to very highly trained multilingual specialists. So just a point that I found interesting is they're in California. We would have, as the task force, would have loved to have been able to engage the one in Milwaukee, but I guess cost did not work out. So ICFS has given us confidence that they can easily meet our needs, and so that's who we're going with. We do have a meeting coming up next Thursday, so they have those large task force for full status about every 2 to 3 months, and so another big rollout meeting will be next Thursday. But I thought the visual gives some additional information to you guys, because when the call comes in, it can come in from a variety of ways. With a full launch, there'll be plenty of marketing out there so that the individual doesn't need to call around, call their friends, call 911 first if they want some referrals for food pantries or something like that. The specialist then handles that call and then provides the service that might be needed, including intervening if it's a crisis situation and getting it to the right hands. And then lastly, what I wanted to mention is the follow-up. I think this is very interesting out of this program, is that they do want to follow up with a person to make sure that they did get the services needed, whether it's a warm handoff to a connecting service that's also 24/7, or a cold handoff that might be the next day to call. They want to make sure that they've met that individual's needs. I also gave to the board members, we get a monthly newsletter, and so I got it smushed down into one page for everybody, but we could easily share this once a month. There's not been a lot of changes because it's been ramping up to get to the call center stage. Any questions?
I want to thank you. Karen has put a tremendous amount of her own time, personal time, into being on these task force, shepherding it, using her expertise in business continuity and disaster recovery to help. So greatly appreciated. She's in a new role with a different company and has a much more hectic and not as flexible work schedule. So if the board doesn't object, Quinn has volunteered, kind of when I asked him, to step in and kind of take over from Karen as she steps away. So over the summer, Karen and Quinn will kind of co-chair or co-represent the village, and then Karen's going to transition off, and Quinn will be representing the village of Gurnee going forward. So thank you, Quinn. As long as there's no objections or anybody else wants to volunteer. Each of you have things that you volunteer for quite a bit, so this was a nice opportunity that came up for Quinn just to get engaged and start adding the value that I know he has. So, well, good. Thank you, Karen. This is really, really exciting. I mean, not just for us as trustees, but for police and fire and all of us who run into those situations where you want to be able to get people help and we don't have the resources ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to this. All right. So thank you, and I'll move on. Next is an update on our poor little fire department ambulance,
Yeah.
1342.
Yep, so we think we finally have this straightened out with insurance. The unit is not totaled after all. They brought in an engineer specialist to take a look at it. It looks like it can be fixed for around $100,000, and then another 40 for a new stretcher, stair chair, and patient load system. So if you remember, they cost 280 new. This one's 4 years from being replaced. So we're going to go ahead with getting it fixed. Fire department has reviewed what the engineer put together. It rear-ended us, so all the damage was in the back, the engine and stuff, all that is fine. So we think it'll get through another 4 years after getting fixed. So that's the direction that's been given to Fire Service Inc. So they will start working on putting that back together, and we're probably looking at September before we see that unit back on the road. So until that time, the spare will remain on the road. So that's where we're at with the ambulance.
And there's no issue getting that equipment certified after it's been repaired?
It'll be new, so.
Oh, the equipment will be new, okay.
The stretcher,
all right,
the stair
okay,
chair, and the
okay.
power load will all be brand new, so we don't
Okay.
have to mess around with getting it recertified.
The spare ambulance, that doesn't have that lift though, does it? Oh, it does have that? Just safety.
The
of
patient
guys.
load, yeah.
That one was just in a reserve role because it's already got
I didn't
15,000
realize
miles, so
they'd
it's.
been around that long for that.
That's probably one of the earlier ones that we had the patient load installed on.
It was second.
Second one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, second one, patient load.
Well, summer is not the ideal time to have an ambulance out of service, but we will manage. Not on the reports, but something I just want to mention to the trustees tonight. You have an update in your emails from the Illinois Municipal League. I just want to say, I read it. We more than got our money's worth out of our dues and our membership with the IML. Brad Cole did a phenomenal job managing like 8,000 different bills. We have our sales tax on internet sales starting next year, so that's going to be a win for us. But most importantly, the IML worked very hard to fight back legislation that either impacted our authority in zoning matters and some unfunded mandates that would have fallen to us. So IML really just, if you see anybody that's on the IML board, tell them thank you, and I'm very impressed with what Brad Cole did. But it's well worth your time to read the synopsis of all the different bills that were passed, and the ones that weren't passed. It's pretty telling where the legislature's mind is at. And so thank the IML for that. In fact, we should send a letter to them just to say thank you
Sure.
to Brad for his hard work. So if you haven't read it, please read it. Trustee Ballmer?
I know this isn't part of business as such, but the casino, proposed casino, does that get the schools?
I didn't see what the tax split on it was. I didn't read it in that detail. A certain amount of it does stay local, and there was a time where Waukegan was going to split it with the school districts. I don't know if that's a separate agreement. Pat can find out.
Among the cities, there's a
Well, we were never in the original split. It was just the school
Yeah,
districts.
it's just,
And I think they are splitting it with Park City, North Chicago, and Waukegan, but I didn't see anything about the school districts.
We can do some asking around.
I was just curious, because I remember that at one time.
Yeah, at one
was a
time.
thought whether-
Trying to,
If we're gonna be impacted by that.
yeah, a lot, video gambling was expanded. I mean, there was a lot in a lot of different bills, and we'll be taking up the marijuana legalization. Staff's working on some recommendations, and then we'll have to make some decisions. So something new, but at least they got a lot of things done, which is a little different than the last 4 years, so good for that. Anything else under reports?
No,
All right, no old business?
not tonight.
All right, then we will move on to new business. Patrick, well, first, approval of ordinance 2019-41,
41?
granting a zoning map amendment for approximately 7.13 acres located on the east side of Tri-State Parkway, approximately 800 feet south of Grand Avenue. I assume you're the petitioner or representing, are you representing the petitioner? Okay, we may need you. All right, Patrick?
Sure. So you had a memo from Clara, Associate Planner, on this. On May 15th, Cedarwood Development was before the Planning and Zoning Board on behalf of Jetro Restaurant Depot, requesting to rezone the 7-acre parcel from O2 Office Campus District to I-1 Restricted Industrial District. This is a property south of the Holiday Inn. Right now, the rezoning's being requested to accommodate a wholesaler in the restaurant and bar industry. As I said, it's just south of the Holiday Inn. The Holiday Inn is zone C2. South and east is ComEd right-of-way, and then to the west is a vacant lot, which is zoned O2. As we look at the draft comprehensive land use plan, it reflects this parcel being industrial mixed use, which is a designation proposed for this parcel as well as across Tri-State Parkway and into the business park to the south, recognizing that newer industrial areas are less traditional in nature and have a broader range of uses. So the Planning and Zoning Board took a look at it, and after considering the request is forwarding a unanimous 4-0 favorable recommendation for your consideration.
And you, Mr. Graza? Okay. Well, you're like the first one to come in under our new zoning classifications. It's kind of cool, a first. Any questions from the board? I mean, it complements the Tri-State Parkway. It's good use of the property. Certainly be a win for all of our restaurants in town. Plus bring in other restaurant operators from the surrounding areas. Any questions for staff or the petitioner? Trustee Thorstensen?
I guess, so I'm unfamiliar with this type of business. Can you give me any background as to where you operate, or will this be a new business for the area? Will it be the same distribution business, but you're just located closer?
So Restaurant Depot is a wholesaler to the restaurant bar industry that operates these types of facilities, excuse me, throughout the U.S. We do have a regional base in Chicago. This will serve the north side of Chicago, but primarily it's to service the local restaurant and bar industry as opposed to your more national commercials such as McDonald's and so forth like that. So we're really there to sell to those local owners, and again, it's a new facility, but it'll be operated just as all the other restaurant depots are throughout the U.S. Is that
Yeah, and maybe just one added-on question then. Do you already have, I'll call it a book of business in Lake County, so this is advantageous for you to be local to them?
It is. Right now, our closest existing facility is south side of Chicago, so anybody here would have to, traverse down the south side. So just be able to handle the north side of Chicago market. So,
Welcome.
they're already shopping at our facility, but this will be more local.
Thank you.
Other questions from the trustees?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion from trustee Ballmer, second from trustee Ross. Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5-0.
All right, motion carries. Mr. Graza, congratulations and welcome to the Village of Gurnee. All right, item number 2, approval of ordinance 2019-42, authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Gurnee Park District and the transfer of land located on Emerald Avenue in Gurnee, Illinois. Patrick?
Sure. So this is something that I've been working on at the Park District for the last 4 years, and we're finally to a point to bring it before the Village Board. The Park District is interested in owning property along Emerald Avenue. These are parcels that we've worked to remove the structures and get them out of the floodplain. We have no use for them, so trying to figure out how to get those to the Park District. What we've come up with is an arrangement where the Park District will cover our out-of-pocket costs, and we will give them a credit for maintaining Peterson Park as well as Walton Plaza for a period of 20 years. There are 3 groups of properties that we categorize these into. The first group is 975, 951, 943, and 931 Emerald. The out-of-pocket cost for the village for the purchase and removal of the structures on those properties was $353,500. When we looked at the maintenance costs for Peterson Park, Park District figured that they spend about $10,000 a year maintaining that property. That was the cost before Walton Plaza was added in. We left it at $10,000 a year, threw a 2% escalator on there. Total is about $260,000, so credit them that towards the $353,000. Second group of properties, 917, 903, and 827 Emerald. Our out-of-pocket for that was $165,000. And the third group, which is 991 and 881, we're still working on those, so we don't have an out-of-pocket yet. So the first group, Group 1, we have Title 2. Park District will pick those up for $93,500 or reimburse us that amount. Second group, they'll pay the full $165, and then the third group will work together. When that time comes and the structures are removed, the village takes title to them, look and see what that costs us. So this reimburses us for our out-of-pocket, like I said, takes care of maintaining Peterson Park and Walton Plaza for the next 20 years, and then also gets these properties that the Park District has been wanting to get title to over to them. So we think it's a win-win on both sides. The Park District has already approved the necessary resolutions and the IGA that's before you tonight. So it's before you last, and once that's, if it's approved, then we'll get that processed and get these properties turned over, get the ownership transferred over to the Park District.
So we basically mitigated all those properties, and we're getting,
Free of charge. I
Free
mean,
of
at the end of the
charge,
day.
wow.
That's staff time. Obviously, we didn't calculate that in, but
Yeah.
out of pocket, yep.
yeah, that's pretty significant, especially when it floods. We will be very glad.
Okay.
Yeah, you had one of the addresses.
Yeah, I changed it in the final agreement. I had one of the addresses in the memo wrong at 827 Emerald when it was supposed to be 881. So I got it changed for the final, the agreement itself.
Questions for Patrick? Trustee Thorstensen?
Sorry, it's me again. Maybe I missed this, but what is the tax treatment on these types of properties? And
They're no tax, they're
So
public
they're-
property, so we
Tax exempt.
pull them off the tax roll.
okay, so they've been tax exempt.
Once
the village acquires the
Yeah, once,
property.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, they would have been paying real estate tax until we acquired them, or stormwater, Lake County Stormwater acquired them, then they become public property, so. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee
Second.
O'Brien, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5-0.
All right. Motion carries. Move on to item number 3, approval of resolution 2019-07,
07.
establishing certain property of the village of Gurnee to be surplus.
Sure, so I'll cover the next two here in one foul swoop. We do this on a regular basis as we replace vehicles, declare them surplus, and then send them to auction or dispose of them in some other manner. So we've got fire engine 1322 and then 2 police detective vehicles, a 2008 Impala and a 2010 G6 that are scheduled for replacement in the budget. The next item on the agenda is how we are proposing to dispose of the fire engine. So Fox Lake Fire Protection District has purchased a previous engine from us. Obviously, we communicate with these departments. We'll let them know that we had another one coming up for replacement. The new engine just showed up a couple weeks ago and is here and in service. So the department is ready to roll this one out of the fleet. Fox Lake came over, took a look at it, looked at the maintenance records, was interested in trying to purchase it from us. After looking at its condition and what other units of similar condition are going for, negotiated a price of $42,500, which they have agreed to. They've received approval for that. So we're proposing with this next ordinance, number 4 under new business, to authorize the sale of this fire engine to Fox Lake. If it is approved tonight, they're showing up tomorrow morning with a check for $42,500 and taking it. So that's how eager they are.
Is there a resolution? Do I just need all?
So both of them need a roll call. Yeah.
All right. All right, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5-0.
All right, motion carries. And going along with that, approval of ordinance 2019-43,
Move to approve.
authorizing the sale and transfer of surplus fire engine owned by the Village of Gurnee, Illinois to the Fox Lake Fire Protection District. Motion by trustee Ross. Second by trustee Balmas. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5-0.
Motion carries. That is the end of our new business. I will reopen the floor to the public. You know, and I will just say, I know all of us, the best part of our job is engaging with our residents, and even when they come to the microphone, listening and finding ways to fix things. I know the last 6 months has been hard on us because it was just a no-win. So we're hopeful that we may be able to move back to public comment at the beginning and things like that, and hopefully our residents will come back. All right, if there's nothing else, nobody else has anything, I have a motion from
Second.
trustee Balmas to adjourn, second by trustee O'Brien. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 7:26.